We absolutely knew it was going to be inevitable. We got all of that rain, and now it's hot. Been hot for the last 4 days. Probably looking like it's going to be that way for a while, and things have really dried out already. It's amazing how quickly the lawn can dry out, and especially with those hot temperatures, cool season grass, you get up around 90, which we've been close to, or heat index around there for the last few days. It does not take long, and the grass is just like, what is going on? I don't like this. Here we are, my friends, already looking at setting up our watering equipment. I was supposed to have irrigation in at this point, but because of all those rain delays, everything that happened, I don't have irrigation in, and now I get to have the fun one more time this season for at least part of it, and for sure in the backyard here as well, of setting up my hoses, doing all that stuff. So today let's talk a little bit about irrigation. So I think naturally the first question is going to be, when do we need to start watering the lawn and how much do we need to put down? So in general, you're going to need between 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water on your yard to keep it kind of looking okay. Now I will say that there's been many times in my backyard here that gets full sun all day long, all afternoon, all the way until when it gets dark here in the summer, about 9:30, somewhere around there. So that is a lot of sun for a cool season grass, and once it gets to about 90, no matter how much I seem to water it, there are times when it still just doesn't feel like it wants to do anything. If you do have cool season, specifically Kentucky bluegrass like I have, just know that you can water like crazy, and sometimes if it's really extreme weather, it might not still look the greatest. Don't expect it to look like spring or fall in your yard during the hottest part of the season. But anyway, 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water. So if you're getting any rain in there, count that in as well. If you're not, then you can use your irrigation here to supplement what the grass actually needs. The first thing that I actually look for is just go out into the yard or kind of look across it and see if you're finding any spots that look like they're a little bit more bluish gray, kind of that color to them. Pay close attention to the lawn as things are drying out and see if you're finding any spots like that. See if you're finding larger areas that look like they're getting that kind of bluish gray tint to them. So usually around sidewalks, around your driveway, areas like that are going to be the warmest, the fastest, because obviously that cement concrete heats up really quickly, dries out the root system of that grass right next to it, and it starts to burn up pretty fast. So watch those areas first. Once you see those, it's a good indication to start looking across the rest of the yard and see if you find anything else. And it's okay to stress the grass just a little bit and let it kind of go down deeper at looking for water into the ground. So it's okay to do that, but once you start to see that blue-gray look, pay attention, know that you're gonna have to start getting your watering equipment ready. I made a video last year about different sprinklers and what you can use in your yard, so I won't go over all of that again in this video. You can go check out that video, which I will link here and also in the description. And so that'll give you an idea about sprinklers. We're going to show you today 2 different types that I use. One would be an impact sprinkler, which I think is a great option for pretty much anyone, honestly. And it puts out a lot of water. There's a plus and minus there depending on how you look at it, if it's actually getting soaked into the ground or not. But usually my large backyard area here, I go with an impact, or I have many times in the past. Now in the front, I will show you my DIY system that I'm going to be hooking up again now until I get my irrigation in, and that'll give me an idea of maybe you have some smaller sections where a traditional sprinkler just doesn't really fit it. It's hard to work into those smaller sections, so I'll show you that as well. Alright, so it's about 11 a.m. and this is not the time that I would recommend to be watering, but we're just doing this for experimental purposes today to show you the differences between sprinklers. So this is an impact. I've had this thing for years and years, used it here in the backyard for a long time, probably I think even on my original seeding project that was done down back here. So this is going to put out quite a bit of water, like I said. We're looking to put out deep and infrequent waterings. So that means that we don't want to be watering every day a little bit. A lot of people think that consistently putting out water all the time would be a better idea, but actually you want it to actually go searching for those roots, as I mentioned here a little bit as well. About 1/2 inch every 3 days or so in the hottest part of the year would probably be good. You can try to go a little bit more if you want, but if you start to go more, you start to go maybe like closer to 1 inch of water that you're trying to put down, some of it's going to end up kind of running away and not soaking into the ground. I think you can probably tell here that I'm not going to be able to water this whole area basically with one sprinkler or in one time of watering. So this thing comes to about right here, sitting all the way back there. So it's got pretty good pressure, and I do have good water pressure too. I set it up in about the middle of the yard, and I go back and forth this way, and then I'll set one up front here as well on the second day, or if I have enough time in the morning to do it, and then I'll run it this way. And so it's kind of like double coverage. So you have to factor that in a little bit as well when you're measuring, but that's just how I do it for kind of like a zone, because that one sprinkler can't reach my whole backyard. You also might find with those sprinklers that in between that arc there where it comes back, there's a little bit lighter spot there in the middle. So when you start watering multiple times, you might kind of see in your yard that there's a little spot where it doesn't feel like it's getting quite as much water. So just move your sprinkler into a different area, maybe to the other side, and do an arc the other way. In a rectangular area like this, it's kind of easy to move to a different spot and still get good coverage. But just pay attention as you're watering the next couple days. You'll probably notice where the lawn got water. If it's hot and dry, you'll definitely see where it got it and where it was a little bit light. So just pay attention to those areas, and maybe you have to adjust things a little bit over time. So I don't know how much I can show you this here, but the other thing that's probably going to surprise you a bit is that it's going to take a lot longer to get down a ½ an inch than you might think it does. And although that's probably about running for 3 or 4 minutes, I mean, there's a little bit in there, it's going to take you a while to get down the ½ inch of water. So I think a lot of people maybe run theirs for 15 minutes or something, and then they think, oh, that's good. Well, it probably did not water very deeply, and so the grass just has to stay at that top part there to get the water, and it's not sending the roots down to look for more. So how about watering times and when you should actually do this? There's quite a bit of debate about this, I feel like. So in general, my opinion is I try to water between 5 a.m. and 8 a.m., somewhere in there. Somewhere in the morning time when, for our climate here, it's usually fairly still as far as wind goes. Not every day, but that's usually a good time when it's still outside. Also, it's a good time when there's already quite a bit of humidity there, so when we're watering, we're not letting evaporation happen. There's not any sun coming up yet at that point, and so it's not in the heat of the day, just the best efficiency there. Now, some will say, okay, well, you could still water at night because we're going into a period overnight where it's going to be obviously dark, and then you could just do the same thing with water efficiency happening a little bit there too. But what's happening there is if you're letting that water sit overnight, all night long on the grass, then the theory is that maybe it's going to be opening it up to a little bit more fungus problems. And you know, here where I'm at night, it's very humid anyway. If I go outside and I put my hands on the grass, most of the time it's going to have water on it in the form of dew anyway. So would it really matter? I don't know. I've never really tested it too much, but personally I like setting mine up just for the morning time. I just feel more comfortable with it. Up to you what you want to decide to do, but that's kind of the thoughts on that. I told you it dries out fast. This is basically 4 days after we had inches of rain. All those cracks in the ground already. This right here is a good example of an area that's kind of hard to water with one of those impact sprinklers. Just the size of it, it's much more narrow, and it just doesn't work so well to try to figure out where to set it up. And can it be done? Yeah, I've done it before, but this is just an easier method that I found, and with a little bit of upfront cost, not too much, you can actually kind of get this like an in-ground system above the ground so that you can remove it when you want to, and yet you can still kind of have a irrigation system here that works for you long term if you want to do that. So here's what I've got. These are irrigation heads that basically you would find on an in-ground system. Same thing, these are MP rotator heads on here, which would go into this base on an in-ground system as well. But all I did was put these onto a spike, hook up your hose on this side, hook up on that side, goes through, and usually with my water pressure I can run 3 to 4 of these since this is a smaller area. So it's actually an advantage there that when I hook up 4 of these, because I've only got about 18 feet to my lot line, and that's a 30-foot head that's in the actual sprinkler. But when you hook up more of them, obviously the pressure goes down a little bit, and since I have good water pressure here, I can actually get 4 of them to work, but the distances will cut down just a little bit, which works perfectly over here. But then many people ask, isn't it a pain to move these all the time when you need to mow? Not really. I just use the one in the corner as kind of my set spot. So I just set that one off to the side there just a little bit. I just wrap up these 2 long ones here, throw them over into that corner as well. The other one is in our strawberry garden. It's out of the way. They go right back in place. I know exactly where they go, and it works perfectly. I don't have any tape on these right now, but I also found that putting some plumbing tape on each side of these helps to make sure that they don't leak. So I need to redo that, but for the purposes of just showing it to you right now. So you can see here I need to adjust this one. It's very easy to adjust. Basically just like that. And if you want to turn to your side, just move the whole thing. Just like that. Pretty easy. So just like in any other irrigation system, you'd preferably want head-to-head coverage. So that means where this one sprays over here, we want it to come down and be spraying all the way to this head, which it is. That way we know we're getting complete overlapping coverage over in here, and we will be good. I do the exact same thing for my front yard. It was a little bit more involved to figure out the exact spots that it needs to go, but honestly it's mainly a rectangular kind of space here too. So it really isn't too bad. I just put them all in each corner. There's one little turn up there by my landscaping where I put one. It works out really, really well. Alright, let's get into some shade here, get out of the sun. So one other thing I wanted to talk about today was this soil loosener, which I made a video on last year as well. What this does is it actually helps to take that water and let it soak in more efficiently, so you're using your water more efficiently. This bottle covers 32,000 square feet, so you only need about 1 ounce per 1,000. And Brittany hates when I do this from Simple Lawn. She hates when I show that I'm using these ends on here because they don't come with this thing right here. But if you buy one of their lawn foods, you get this end, and then I just stick it on there and I go and spray. Now you can cover your whole yard with this and use it that way, but also what I really like to target are areas around the sidewalks and driveway where things start to really burn out fast. I like to spray a little bit of this on there and then make sure I soak that in good with some water. It helps just to soak in those spots a little bit more without watering the whole yard, without spending water on every single area when I'm not seeing that it needs it in every area. So you can do that too. You can target little spots with this, go spray those spots, and then make sure you water it in really well with water after that. It will get it to soak into the ground, and you might not need to water a whole area. You might just find a few spots in your yard that need it every once in a while. So if you don't have a lawn food thing like this, then I just put it in one of these hose end sprayer things and I just dump some right in here. So once you open this bottle too, I wanted to mention it's a good idea to put the cap back on here if you're not going to use it for a while, because it has been found to get a little bit gummy when it mixes with air for a while. So put the cap back on that, but I'm just putting it in here straight. You could put water in here if you want to, but I don't really find that it needs to be diluted, or at least I'm going to test that today. So I'm going to go spray it on a few spots near my driveway where I know that it could use it today, and we'll just test this thing out. Right here on the fringe of this grass, it's just starting to turn a little bit. It's getting a little bit burnt from this cement here, getting pretty hot. So I like to spray it down these areas right here and then soak it in with some water. Alright, so I think that thing sprays out just a little bit too heavy, so I'd probably recommend, if you're going to go something like this, maybe get the ortho hose end that you can actually set the dial on there so you could dial it down a little bit. This seemed like it came out pretty fast. So I might not use that thing again. The other thing that I really like about this system with this is that it has the water on here plain and then the mixture on here as well. So once you turn it on and you spray, then you can go directly to water and water it in with this one thing. So again, this thing does not come with that bottle. I need to stress that. It comes with the lawn foods. So if you get a lawn food, you can use this thing too. Or like I said, maybe get an ortho. I think it's around 10 bucks or so. And you can set the dial on there to actually lower the amount that's coming out a little bit so that you're not using it too quickly. You could go with a couple options too. You could use a baby shampoo or maybe a Dawn soap, something like that. The active ingredient in this one is a little bit higher, and I like that it goes a little bit farther and you don't have to do any mixes or do anything really, but that's a cheaper option too. I did a test with some baby shampoo a couple years ago. It took quite a few applications for me to see it really doing much. Whereas this, I feel like quite a bit stronger active ingredient there. But those are options for you. Just want to let you know that as well. Just remember as well that you might think that you can just water and it won't matter if you put down too much, but actually it can matter, and it can add to fungus problems in humid climates and all of that. So keep that in mind as well. Have fun with the watering. Let me know if you have questions on this video. I would love to help out with the questions. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. You want the grass to kind of need that water. You want it to... Man, these things are dirty. Wonder if they can tell that on camera.